evening, and welcome to this meeting of the Old Kings Highway Committee of the Town of Yarmouth, which is being held in accordance with Chapter 470 of the Acts of 1973, as amended, at 7:15 p.m. on Monday, February 13th, 2023, at the Yarmouth Town Hall Hearing Room located at 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Moreover, pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, GL Chapter 3A, pages 18 to 25, considering certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting has been being run in a hybrid mode. 6 new applications for certificate of appropriateness will be heard this evening in the order listed on the agenda. Please be reminded that our committee's main purpose is to review items for appropriateness and setting, and it is the responsibility of the applicant to comply with the regulations of other town boards and departments, including building, conservation, engineering, health, zoning, and the sign inspector. You should know that there is a 10-calendar day appeal period starting once a decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway. Our office administrator, well, not there right now.
She's closing the door.
She flew the coop.
We'll be happy to answer any question you may have regarding this process.
Chocolates and ran.
And our first application tonight is for
14 Main Street.
23-A005, installing a new pool fence at 1014 Route 6A. John Callahan is the owner.
I'm right here.
Would you approach us and sit at the table and tell us about your project?
Well, we're proposing to put a pool in the backyard, and currently the property has a stockade fence that wraps around the whole yard, and I'm looking to tie in the 2 sides with a 54-inch fence. Knowing that vinyl is not an option, I went with a black aluminum fence so it would match my downspouts and my gutters, just for aesthetics. And I plan on putting, tall grass in front of the fence with hydrangeas and a landscaping detail right across. And I can forward that to you folks too. I just didn't think about that tonight. And it's going to have a gate on the left side of the property and a gate on the right side of the property.
Is this the picture of the gate?
Yes, that's going to be on the right side of the property.
How open will that, what's the opening of that gate?
I believe it's 8 feet. Yeah, because I want it to be wide enough for the trucks to be able to go in,
Through.
small trucks to dig the hole.
Is this a picture from your property?
No.
Okay, so
It's just a rendering.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mr. Callahan, on the longer side, on the west side of it, I imagine you'll have a gate so you can walk through it.
Yeah, that's going to be a 36-inch gate on that side. I think I didn't show it on the
That's fine,
plot plan.
where it's most convenient for you.
Yeah.
Fine.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Any abutters? Anybody have anything to say out in the audience?
Now, Mr. Callahan, you had your property for sale at one point, didn't you?
I did, yeah. We're just playing around with the market.
Testing the market.
Yeah, just before everything went down.
Did you raise your hand? Yes. Let me defer to the chair. Sorry, there is an abutter apparently.
Oh, would you like to address us?
Just as his,
If you
You have to, because of
to the
TV
microphone
land.
at the podium and tell us who you are.
hi, my name is Amir Shahich, and I'm Mr. Callahan's son-in-law. And I can tell you that we would really like to have that pool. And he really does a good job about trying to put a lot of detail and time into it. So he's also looked at the hydrangeas out front, kind of like what we've done over at 489 Main Street on Route 6A. We're just about 70 seconds away. So just kind of put more hydrangeas out front and make it look very nice. So.
Well, it's obvious you're very house proud.
Yes, yes.
Any other comments from abutters or other interested parties? So I have a question. So this the materials that you're thinking of using, this is primarily in accordance with regulations regarding pool fencing,
It is.
correct?
It's 54 inches high. and it
Right.
Meets the,
So I understand that. And you're connecting with the existing stockade fencing, is that?
I'm going to tie it into that fence.
So my question is, have you thought about surrounding the pool itself with the metal fence?
I did, but I think it would close it in too much, and I kind of want an open backyard coming off the deck.
And I appreciate that you're planning on planting out the fence so that it's not quite so visible from the street. You're very prominently visible from 6A.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my only reservation is the coherent visual aspect of the metal with the stockade.
Yep.
And the plantings, one thing about plantings is they have a way of disappearing sometimes, depending on what you're going to choose for planting.
Seasonally, you
So-
mean?
Pardon me?
Seasonally, do you mean, or?
Well, it's just, yes, they can die, and it's not a permanent visual, necessarily a
Okay.
permanent visual,
Yeah, for the fall time, I see what you're saying.
right.
Yep. But the seagrass that really doesn't go down, so we have some protection there.
Any other questions from the committee?
No?
Do I hear a motion?
I would move to approve. I just have one statement about the what you're going to plant. Hydrangeas do go down to the twigs, all the flowering's gone.
Yep.
What else? Like things like arborvitaes and stuff, they don't lose their leaves or anything.
Right.
So that remains intact. Other things, seagrasses, they don't go away until you cut them down, but you cut them down every spring because that's how they grow. So just to keep those things in mind.
I was talking about something with some upright rose bushes as well.
Yeah, I mean,
That'll
Yeah.
kind of,
anything that just kind of shrouds that fence would be helpful.
right.
Okay,
People have been doing the narrow boxwood. That's kind of nice, too. It's not going this way, it's going more.
so anyway, I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll abstain. Do we want to, it's not part of the application to have it camouflaged by plantings. Do we want to add that to the
Condition it?
application?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is it
that's
not
his plan,
necessary? Is that
so-
optional on the part of, what's the sense of this committee? Is that optional on the part of the committee, or is it something that we really want to see happen?
I'm okay. His intent is clear, but, so I defer.
I think this is what he wants to do, so I don't think.
So you have no objection to including that as,
I don't, no.
okay. So Lisa, we should probably have,
And I think hydrangeas are a lovely idea because they stay around for a while.
They do. They stay around all
Even the
summer.
sticks can be,
It's just they go down to.
Cut them and dry them out and bring them inside.
And they make different sizes as
Yeah.
well. So I don't want something that's
yeah,
going to
like
take
those
me
big
4
white
years.
ones that go,
4 years to grow.
yeah.
Yep.
A condition. Do we have to make the
Condition.
motion with the condition?
Can I add to the conditions that we must be able to use the pool whenever we want?
Absolutely. Yeah, the closest, yeah.
All right, I'm doing that. Hamburgers and hot dogs. also.
We're really ecumenical here.
all right.
We have to amend the motion then?
I don't think it's really
Okay.
necessary. I think we are all in agreement on it.
Moment for this gentleman to sign, or?
Yes.
I do, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Don't have to make it too elaborate.
4 score.
And we didn't finish our vote, Rob, just to remind.
Oh, yeah, I thought we
He
did.
abstained.
Did we?
One
Okay.
abstention for yes. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Approval date will be the 13th.
case, if you would come up and sign this document, which simply says if you're going to make any changes, to please let us know in advance. Right there above my signature. And now, see if he needs to
Be right
sign
with you,
this.
Mr. Callahan.
No, we may need you to sign this other document too. Oh, you need a new pen?
I think
I got
I'm
extras
okay. I
too.
think it's dying.
Here, get one. This one is working and it's black, so,
Okay,
oh, he's got one.
he has a surfeit of pens now.
Well, isn't that the way?
Better too many than too few.
I think the problem is this surface.
Some Vision Marine tonight.
Yeah.
I know, well, these were on sale
But
at
it is
Marshall,
underneath
so
it.
it's driven the choice of everything else. Me and my friend Marshall. The funny part is my mom was the old woman in purple.
Oh, is that right? Well, that's more burgundy than purple.
Yeah, thank you. But my husband is having a blast today, teasing me about being
Have a
my
procedural thing we
mother.
have to.
Those ads.
I'm sorry, Mr.
So Liberty
Reading
Mutual
is-
has, you know, what, is it Liberty Mutual has become your parents or something?
Yeah, right.
Who,
New
how
homeowners.
shall it read, Mr. Chairman?
That the
Applicant.
the fencing will be hidden by plantings of the applicant's choosing. Something to that effect?
What kind of condiments does everyone want for their hot dogs and hamburgers? Mr. Callahan.
You can have one hell of a party there, I'll tell you that.
No. All right, so if you'll just sign here and date it. It's faint, but I guess you can read it.
And that's what I put there, sir. Fencing shall be hidden by plantings of the applicant's choosing. Other than that, it is exactly as you.
Did you sign that paper I left for you? You did, okay.
Thank you.
All right, you are free to go.
Good luck, sir. I think that actually works fine. I think it's
See you later.
this surface. Goodbye now.
Right. So the next application, 22-A006, is to replace two windows at 17 Ider Street. Jack Gaskell is the owner, Renewal by Anderson is the agent, and who do we have?
Chris Hudson, Renewal by Anderson, representing on behalf of the Gaskell family.
Okay, would you present
Hello
your
again.
project for us, please?
Yeah, it actually doesn't get much more straightforward than this. We have two windows over a front door. And this is probably the
You
best
can
picture.
see
You have a stationary with a trapezoid above. And the proposal is to replace like for like, same color, Anderson sand tone exterior. They're just in complete disrepair, a little further shot from the street. We get some seal failure and some rot going on, so that's
You
it.
can see they're blown, the seal is blown on, particularly the lower one was very obvious when I drove by.
Are there any abutters or other interested parties present or online who would like to address this application? Any comments or questions from the committee?
I was just curious why these two went and the others didn't.
I mean, that's the homeowner's choice. They're in the worst shape of the house.
Okay,
And they're
so-
doing this in kind of small little chunks.
Right, they may be back, okay. Very good.
Any of the members of the commission need to see the, you're familiar with the Anderson sand tone color?
I just want to say, I really like this house. I mean,
Yeah, it's fun.
it's like a great 80s modernist house, and I love that arbor on it.
Yep.
You should plant wisteria there.
Oh, gosh.
Questions or comments from the committee? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a
Second. 12 people second.
And I'll take the vote.
Aye.
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 Right,
All right, so you,
sign something.
yes, you do need to sign something.
Really wanted to approve, look at this.
This is true.
I think they still don't approve of me, but
We're
it was worth a shot.
All this means is if you want to make any changes, please let us know in
I think
advance.
they did these corny things anymore.
Oh, come on. Of course.
There was a big ad or news report
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Night.
yesterday that Valentine's Day is a huge moneymaker.
Is it?
People spend, not this people, but
Well, it was the thought that mattered.
that people.
Just the money spent to keep out of the doghouse.
Exactly.
Ah, so the more you spend, the more guilty you are, is that what we?
He knows his way to a woman's heart.
That may have happened once or
What
twice.
it says about him, but.
I stole someone's pen.
I think we have enough.
Thank you.
Well, don't, this one's going too, so.
God.
We need some new pens here, Lisa.
I usually bring my bag of pens. I just.
This will get through tonight's meeting, that's about it.
Just tell them to bring their own.
Yeah, well, that most people do, but you know.
The next item on the agenda is 23-A007, construct a deck in the rear of 7 Ebb Road. Daryl Lamonaco is the owner, and James Pena is the agent.
And we have some people online Zooming, looks like.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, just before we proceed, this was an application for an exemption. And, well, I think it's a fine deck. I just thought it was enough of an add to the building that it should be seen by the whole committee.
Okay. So,
I'm Jamie Pena from Pena Brothers Custom Carpentry, and we're just trying to build a slate gray with white AZEK handrails and balusters and white AZEK trim at 7 Ebb Road for Daryl LaMonica.
From this picture, it looks like the deck is going off the side of the house.
It is. It's like the back and the side of
Is it the
most.
side that faces Ider Road?
The corner, yes. I believe so.
The corner, or
It's
just along the back?
This is the corner.
It's the side. If you're coming up Ider, you turn on to Ebb to go back to.
Right.
It's
It's the
right
one that's
there.
right there where the cliff is. In the corner. Yes. It's begging for a deck.
It is. I agree.
We have a letter, oh, yeah.
All right.
you got it.
Yes.
So I'm
We've received a letter that I'll read into the record. This is from Steve and Catherine LaMontagne, 6 Ider Street, abutters. Dear Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee, we are the direct abutting neighbors to the 7 F Street proposal to construct a deck to the rear of the property. After review of the proposed plans, we are writing to show our support for this much-needed improvement to the property. We are pleased to see the new owners of this property embrace the Old Kings Highway and Yarmouth Port guidelines in presenting a pleasing and reasonable sized project which will improve the area. Material selections seem appropriate for the overall feel of Cape Cod. So, are there any other comments from the public, abutters, or interested parties?
I have a question, actually. I'm a little confused by this drawing, because that makes it look like the deck is on the front, the side, and the rear. Is it on the front of the sunroom as well?
There's a step on the front pretty much, because there's a, so right here, there's an exit out of the sunroom.
So this isn't all deck here.
So this was all deck. It's actually, now that we've seen the surveyor has seen it, it actually has to come back to, on this angle. Has to come back just a little bit. But yeah, this is 6 feet of deck sticking out.
So the surveyor, is that because it's too close to the lot line? So it is planning to be, because the application says to build a deck on the rear, but the drawing has it on the front, the side, and the rear, so that's why I'm confused. Is it all 3 sides?
Yes, it's all 3 sides now.
It wraps around the sunroom.
So I guess I totally get having the deck on the rear. I mean, every single house down on Ider has a deck. But I don't understand why they'd want one in the front as well.
The only reason is to connect the deck all the way around. There's only one entrance out of the sunroom on that side, and it's
On the
front
front,
of the house.
I see. Okay.
So it's really just a platform on the front so that you can access the rest of the deck around
Okay.
back.
Thank you.
If I may ask, I think you're clear here, but I just want to be sure that, yes, I can't think of the name, that AZEK material, I can't think of whatever the line was, does come also with black balusters, but you're proposing that the decking, that the railing is entirely white, correct?
Yes, it's all white. Yes, I did a white with black baluster that you guys approved in Yarmouthport recently, actually.
So all the other houses down in Ider look like they have identical railings to each other that are made out of wood. They are across 1 by 5 or something, and then vertical balusters. Did they consider that so that would sort of fit in with time with the rest of the street?
No, it wasn't really a consideration. It's for upkeep reasons, really.
Sounds like the neighbor supports it, too.
I think this is a good use of the AZEK material because it doesn't rot, and it really does. That cellular PVC cuts like wood, it takes paint like wood, it looks like wood. I mean, you really can't tell the difference once it's painted, and it doesn't rot away.
Are there any other comments from the committee or questions? Do I hear a motion?
Can I just make one more? I guess I'm still a little bit struggling with the front part. I'm just wondering if we should request a revised diagram to show what it's going to really look like. If you said it's being changed now, it's not going to appear like this?
I'm wondering something similar to that also.
So it is, I mean, I have it on email, but I couldn't get it printed. I was going to bring it for you guys. My printer wouldn't work. That's something I can show you.
Can we trust you?
Pass it around, maybe that would, if you can pull it up, yeah.
Yes, you can trust me.
So you're cutting the corner
There'll be
effectively?
what we could do, too, is we could write another condition.
Sir, are you
Condition,
cutting the
since
corner
what they-
effectively?
Yeah, let me
The
show you.
6 feet 8 from the corner and 7'9" from the corner, you're going to cut that corner.
Kind of, not all of it. It's just from the street, it needs to be 30 foot. There's a 30-foot setback from the street. So, in essence,
I see.
I can do that. So just adhere to the.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd love to see it, please.
Okay.
Oh, how much, that doesn't, that's unfortunate in a way that that's quite tight to walk around that corner, isn't it?
Yes, but there's steps down and up.
Okay.
But it's actually larger than most door openings.
No, it isn't.
What was your name, Jim or James? Jamie. And so on this picture, I'm assuming that's an outdoor shower under that enclosure.
It's not an outdoor shower, there's nothing there right now.
Okay,
It's just,
so the deck's going to be above that.
that is gonna be taken, removed.
I see. Okay, thank you.
A stockade fence with
Okay.
ivy on it.
So you're going to submit this to be included as part of this application? The reason I'm asking is I'd rather get this dealt with now than have to defer it to a subsequent meeting. I'm sure you agree.
Yes.
All right.
So you, are you asking me to submit this plot plan?
Yes,
And I mean, I could email it to Lisa.
that's fine.
That's great.
Are we all happy with that? Are we comfortable
Yes.
with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Aye. So you'll just sign this document, especially since it's already been changed. So- There you go. Sign your signature. Order. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, you are free to go.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Two.
Yeah, go ahead and send it to me, put it with the packet, and then we should be good to go. Yeah, sounds great, thanks, Jean.
Here you go.
It's unfortunate they have to cut the corner so drastically. So really,
Well,
they'll be able
slope
to,
in the back is-
you're gonna have to walk out that thing, step down, and then like step back up to go around the deck. But the setback requirement.
It is what it is.
It's the right move.
Thank you. It was too much of a massing ad for me to make a decision.
Run it out. Bring it before us.
Okay, yep. Yeah, okay. If I don't get it, I'll let you know, but probably then, okay, great, thanks, Jean. Thanks, you too.
The next application is 23-A008. Install 28 solar panels on the garage and rear roofs at 12 Dundee Drive. Susan Porter is the owner, and Sunwind LLC is the agent, and you're not Susan, so you must,
Not today.
so,
He might identify as Susan.
what is your name?
It's Timothy Holmes with Sunwind.
Okay, so tell us about this project, Timothy.
So on the east-facing side of the garage, south or east-facing side of the garage, we're looking to put about 20 panels on that side, and on the rear roof, approximately 8 panels on the rear roof. All black racking.
So we did our site visit, and then I noted that certainly is about as far away from anything as you can get. And there is a house down a little further on the circle that already has solar panels.
Okay.
So I'll let people ask questions, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, the rear obviously is not visible at all from the street. The side of the garage, as you drive, there's sort of a bend in the road as you go around the bend. If you look back, you could see them potentially, but there's not a whole lot of houses down there, so.
So,
Are there any abutters or other interested members from the public who would like to address this issue? Any comments or questions from the committee?
I have to say, I think these panels stuck between the dormers on the front of the house.
on the back.
No, they're on the front, too.
You're looking at the wrong one.
The wrong one.
The wrong one?
Yes, I think so.
Oh.
Next one.
Do I have the wrong one?
Uh,
Oh, I know the one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's on the back. This is on the north. Okay. Yeah, I have the wrong one in front of me. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. So I agree with Ms. Argo. This is a cul-de-sac. There are actually two houses with solar panels at the end of the cul-de-sac, which are more visible than these will be. And although, as I like to say and have said in the past, we're not governed by precedent, still, the character of the neighborhood is changing, and the addition of the solar panels is part of that change. It's not a thoroughfare, and so I will ask for a motion.
And just to clarify, the reason I had already flipped it over because it was like a done deal for me. So that's why I was on the next application. I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And aye. So if you'll just sign this document saying if you're going to make any changes, to please let us know in advance. It's at the bottom there. Or owner. Thank you.
Take care. All set.
Thank you. Good night.
Does he need to let in,
Yeah, both those people, that's what I was just telling you.
oh, good.
Sir?
Francesco. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Francesco. I
Wait,
work
he's gonna
with
announce it.
A
Skyline
minute.
Solar.
Let me introduce it.
Okay.
So the next application is 23-A009 to install 15 solar panels on the front and rear roofs at 7 Francis Helen Road. Jamie Franklin is the owner and Skyline Solar is the agent. And who do we have this evening?
Jamie and.
Jamie's here. I'm Francesco. I work with Skyline Solar. Jamie has the kids tonight, and her husband is a fireman for Yarmouth, and he's working tonight, so she couldn't make it in person. And I live off Cape. But I just want to start by saying that the panels that ended up going in the front, we had to do just by necessity. We started with all the panels in the back, and then after we did our site survey and took measurements, we found out that we couldn't fit enough panels in the back to cover, all of her usage. So we had to move some to the front. Yeah.
Okay, so this is clearly right off 6A, and the panels in the front are troublesome. And then the road, I forget the name of it, but the other road that wraps around, we'll see them as well. So this breaks my heart because it's the kind of neighborhood that I feel should be allowed to go forward with the kind of solving two problems, solving climate change, fighting climate change, and getting our bills lowered so we're not paying tremendous electric bills. But, so I would say that it's minimally visible, but it is clearly visible as well. So it's where this board has a real tough time making a decision. I would support it, but it is visible.
Okay. Would getting letters from the neighbors matter at all?
Let's see what the rest of our committee feels, and then that's a good question.
I don't know, did we ask for comments from abutters or the public? If not, let's do that now. And then, hearing none, any other comments or questions from the committee?
Well, I would echo what Liz said, that the panels in the front of the house are fully visible from Francis Helen Road, and then the panels on the side are fully visible from Margaret Joseph. So none of them are minimally visible, so.
I would say that, and again, it breaks my heart too, because I want to support the solar panels. This is so intrusive on the entire massing of the house, and it's not even symmetrical either in the front or the back. There's that, there's that extra panel on the top of the front, and wedged between these two dormers, it becomes not just visible, but it becomes prominent on the elevation of the house, so I find it, for me, kind of a non-starter. I'm sorry to say, it really is. Talk about character defining. It becomes the thing you see on the house.
I agree with all of that. I think it is totally intrusive on the landscape, and it's the second house in from 6A, I believe.
It is.
It's in a very prominent area, so I would not go for it.
Not to pile on, but just to add two more observations. First of all, the pitch of the roof is problematical. It's a very steeply pitched roof, which makes the panels all the more visible. I agree with my vice chairman about the dormers being a problem and trying to nestle the panels between the dormers. And also, I drove around the neighborhood and I didn't see any other solar panels, so it would be incongruous to the neighborhood as a whole. And I also agree that it gives this committee no pleasure to deny these solar panel applications, but we have a mandate, and in my view, this does not comport with that mandate. So do I hear a motion?
I move to deny.
Second.
All those in favor of denying this application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
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 So is it the panels on the front that's the problem, or just all of them?
I would say it was would be the panels on the front, because Margaret Joseph, or that side road, is so untraveled. It's a tiny little road, and you won't be seeing the ones on the back from 6A. But that's my opinion.
You're certainly welcome to come back to us with a new application eliminating the panels on the front.
And you did ask about the letters, so we can answer that question. And yes, in the past, that has been a consideration that has been helpful.
Okay.
One thing, cautionary note about the letters.
Oh,
I
yes.
request they be actual letters and not a door-to-door survey. Check this box and say you approve. We'd like to see some thought given to the question by the neighborhood. So if you want to go that route, yes, it would be, we are always interested in the opinion of abutters.
Which fire station is the fireman working at?
He's Old Main Street
Old Main?
in West Plymouth. Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Jamie.
You know,
You're welcome.
As the chairman said, you know, I'm sorry, I simply can't approve it, but I wish I could. But it just becomes such a predominant feature. So, again, apologies. As the chairman said, we don't like denying applications at all.
Thank you. Hopefully we can figure out a different plan.
I do hope so.
Yes.
Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Still coming.
I didn't know it wasn't ready.
So I did not sign as I am a nay.
Correct.
You don't sign that either. No, you don't sign that.
Yeah, yes.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
not
Oh,
signed.
that's right. The motion was to deny. I'm sorry.
The final application to be heard this night is 23-A010, installing 33 solar panels on the front and side roofs at 12 Stratford Lane. Thomas W. Lundquist is the owner, and Clean Energy Design is the agent. And who do we have this evening?
I'm Tom Lundquist. And I'm Tom Weinman with Clean Energy Design.
Okay, who would like to present the application to us?
I'm good.
Good.
With that.
Let's hear it.
Well, we have all black panels arranged primarily on the upper shallow pitch facing the street because that's the optimal orientation for efficiency and lack of shading on the site. And there is some additional panels along the ridge line of a perpendicular surface, which is on a, goes from the front of the house to the back.
That's the garage, right?
Yeah, over the two-car garage, yes.
All right. So,
Anyone online wish to comment on this application? Hearing none, I'll take questions and comments from the committee.
so it's a very, as Mr. Wyman pointed out, it's a shallow pitch, and that works in the favor of visibility. It is on a public way, will be visible. Then we get into trying to define minimally and whether the pitch will help qualify qualify it as minimally visible, which I would maintain because we need solar panels, and it's a way for Mr. Lundquist to help with tremendously increasing electric bills. So it's not a particularly historic neighborhood. It is within the historic district, but there's a lot of homes that are, there's nothing historic particularly in that neighborhood. That's my opinion.
They're minimally visible because the pitch is less than a 12 pitch, but since the roof is light brown, a lot of times people will come in and want to put solar panels on a dark gray or a black roof where they blend in a lot better. The fact that the roof is a light brown color, I think they would be more prominent and stand out more, making them a little bit more visible than what the shallower pitch roof. So that is the front of the house, visible from the street. So that's a little concerning to me.
So my thoughts on this is, as people have mentioned, the pitch of the roof on the main house is very shallow. So I'm not too sure how much difference there'd be if the panels were on the back of that rather than the front. And you have a dormer, shed dormer on the top of the two-car garage that you wouldn't see them at all, really, if you put them there. Now, it might not be as efficient as you'd like it to be, but I think those are two options that would be doable. Solar panels on the front part of that front roof, I wouldn't go for. But as I said, I mean, that roof is just pretty much like this.
Right.
I'm not sure.
The house does sit up high. It's the highest house on the
I think
on
you
the
could
street.
get away with panels on the back of that roof, and you could get away with panels on the dormer. Anything else would not be minimally.
What's the orientation? Where's north here? Is north?
South is at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
So those two roof surfaces, the committee member was mentioning, are both facing significantly north and have significantly lower efficiency.
Mr. Lundquist, your house is very handsome. And one of the things that really stood out to me most, and you don't see them very often, are these, those are not, it looks like that roof isn't very old. Is that?
Brand new.
Yeah, it's.
And it was a lighter brown, and I went with a medium to dark
Yeah,
brown.
and you chose this really lovely cedar shingle, like cedar roof look to it, and it's really very light, and of course part of that is because it's brand new, and the difficulty I have with it is that you're effectively turning the main house roof black, except for like a border around it, and then you have this. It's a big house and it's a large mass, but it's handled really fairly well. And the way the main house hits the garage, then you have this one line that kind of is broken up by the ridge on the west side of the roof, and I just think it detracts from it. And it you know, I'm not happy to say that because I think that it is, you know, a worthy application, but with that shingle color that you chose, it's just so, it becomes the house because of black roof, and then the rest of it. So I don't know. I'm very torn on this because it is, although the roof is a really relatively shallow pitch, is it like a 412 or 512 pitch? But you still see it quite prominently from the street. And I'm wondering about, as my colleague here says, would you, I could ask that question of you, sir, although it wouldn't be, the last application, the one we approved on Stratford, the one that I confused with the other application, that roof is really oriented to the northeast. If you looked at that house, that roof is facing northeast. And that's where their solar panels are. And I'm just wondering if that would be, even if it isn't as efficient, a viable solution for this gentleman to move the panels, because the pitch is such, and it is so high, it doesn't face south, but would it give Mr. Lundquist the particularly on, this is, I guess, my question. If we were to move on the main house, them to the north side of the house, and you were to maybe ditch the ones on the front of the garage, but keep them on the back side of the west side of the garage, or relocate them, as Paul has said, to the east side of that shed dormer, or put more on the shed dormer, would that mitigate the loss of them on the south side?
The detraction of those orientations would be enormous as far as efficiency goes. Efficiency is part of the part of the orientation of panels as far as its cost effectiveness. So and the other particularly bad thing about the northeast face is it's got trees right up to it. And so when the sun is high in the sky in the summer, it's shaded, enormously as well. So there's a number of reasons why those orientations are problematic. We could increase some in the back of the garage facing southwest, but that would actually require more tree cutting in the back. He's already taken a number of trees out from the back of the house that were, creating shade on that roof, so.
You've done that in preparation for the solar installation?
Yes, and put the new roof on also. That was
For the
part.
solar?
For the roof installation as well.
A very large pine tree, a
Yeah.
huge one, and a very large oak tree on that corner.
So I have a clarification question. The roof where the chimney emerges, you're not contemplating putting panels on that roof? Or are you?
Small connector roof? No.
Yes, no.
None there.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure of that.
And the neighborhood is very confined, and not much traffic occurs on that street.
People that live on it.
There are solar panels on the next street over that are on the front of the house as well.
Identical house, right?
Well, knowing that the north roof is too much of a compromise for the efficiency, is there a way that, because you have the rectangular composition, but then you have the horizontal at the bottom, and I know that quite often that bothers the committee in that makes it stand out a little bit more. Is it possible to move that bottom row onto behind underneath the ones on the garage?
On the back.
Yeah.
Part of the garage, yes. That would be moving 5 panels off the front. And we could move them.
I think she means these.
Yeah, that's.
Those 5, yeah, okay.
And that way you at least have a nice square or rectangular presentation. We can't do anything about the fact that you've just re-roofed in preparation for the solar and that the color is a darker brown, but as we have all noted, it's a very shallow pitch, so that it's not going to be in your face as you drive down that road.
As you drive up the road also, I sit very high up, so you wouldn't be able to see them until you were directly in front of the house and looking up.
Yeah.
Liz, do you have an opinion about how much of a loss of efficiency would occur if those panels were moved to the back of the principal roof rather than on the front?
Yeah, I mean, I think 50%, because not only is it north-facing, but he's got tree coverage, and so it doesn't make sense. It's an expense that isn't going to pay itself off. And Mr. Weinman's, what is the loss of efficiency, would you say, from the
You're about right on that
50%?
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can run it, but
I can definitely give you I can definitely draw that up for you and tell you exactly what the loss would be.
but again, it's an expense.
It's almost it's a non-starter. That's, in the coloring diagram on the upper picture of the presentation, the darker the color is, the less productive it is.
The less what?
Less productive.
less productive.
So that's why the northern facing roof
And
is
there
black.
is there is a way to actually give you exact figures on that if we were to array that. I did that over in the town of Barnstable, and they accepted the ones on the front because I
Such a
proved
loss.
it was such a loss of efficiency. It was a impractical installation.
So what if you did move, as Ms. Argo said, the 5 panels that are horizontal? I'm not really really concerned about the fact that they have a different orientation, but just maybe showing a little more of that beautiful roof you just put up.
Right.
And you did put them on the 3 across on the back side of the connector.
Right.
So 3 horizontally, obviously they can't be vertical, they're horizontal, 1, 2, 3 above the skylight, and 1, 2 on either side of the skylight,
You're saying the garage.
of the
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah,
Right.
not the connecting roof
Not
is
the connector,
useless.
No, not the connector roof,
Southwest
but on
face.
the garage, so the southwest facing.
Yeah.
Would that be like a,
That's an acceptable move.
and then that would give us a little more of this really beautiful roof that you just put up, visible from the street?
Wouldn't be as
Would that be effectively a wash?
Yes.
So if we did that, would we, yeah, I got it. Yeah. If we did that, and focusing on the panels on the front roof, the principal roof, they could be adjusted so that they would be symmetrically arranged with
Bottom ones go,
leaving
We
a
were
border
trying to-
all the way around.
Right.
which
Yes, we
shows
can do
more
that.
of the beige roof.
You were pushing the array towards the
I-
left because of the chimney,
Yeah.
the shading.
I,
But that's a less,
That's a less impactful compromise.
I would defer to the sense of the committee on this, but I think there's enough of a design change so that I personally would like to see the new design.
So
a
come
sch-
back.
A schematic of the new design. So, my feeling is that we should
We just
table
table
this
it?
application.
All right,
You have a sense of our concerns, and maybe you can think about how to make us more comfortable with this application. We want to be comfortable with the application.
We want to approve it.
Yeah.
I'll give you what I've drawn right here, if you like. I'll even sign it. No, I'll give it you what I've drawn. I think you fully understand what I mean. So the 5 horizontal on the front go. They move to the back of the garage on that side of the connector. 3 horizontally, I think they'll fit across the top, above the skylight. And then I don't know. You'll have to say whether between the skylight and the eave of the thing does that have to turn. But I'll leave that to you. But one on either side of the skylight, and there's your 5. But again, you may have this if you like. That shouldn't count, not that.
So I move
would
to
be great.
table.
Before.
Oh, sorry.
I would also, since it was mentioned with regard to a previous application, I would also suggest that if you can get letters from abutters in support of this project, that would be influential for us.
Or have them here.
That's
To
true,
talk.
too. Even
That's
better.
easier
Even-
for
even-
them, quite
even better.
frankly.
And don't forget to bring the chocolates.
The chocolates.
Bribery is helpful, no, just kidding.
Okay. All right, so, do we have a motion?
I move to table item 23-A010, Mr. Lundquist, Thomas, and Clean Energy Design, solar panels.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. So. Make us happy. Okay.
I think it'll be a win for you, so. There you are. So I drew one there, but look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to take that if you like? There you go. Thank you.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lundquist. Not Mr. Lundquist, Mr. Chagnon. Thank you. I already turned it over. I got the wrong one still.
Okay. So,
We're done.
well, not quite. First of all, we have the minutes. We have to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of January 23rd, 2023, with the changes that were emailed in.
You noted the changes?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
I wasn't there, so I'll abstain.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Catching you up to date on several things. I believe that Ellen Briggs is present, has been watching these proceedings, and is willing to join us if we can make some time for her to do that.
I'm a little concerned that it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, we don't have, it's an informal discussion. I don't think informal discussions have to be on the agenda
I
as a
think
matter of
there's-
procedure.
We're not making a policy, or making a decision, we're
He
just
can
having
talk
a
to us, but
conversation.
Yeah.
we should not,
I think let's call it an informational
Okay, information gathering.
session. If
Okay.
she's, I don't know if she is.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, she's here. Okay, good. We had been talking about your letter, your email, Ellen, in which you presented the various historic and preservation entities and this body with the offer of POP as a resource. And so we were interested to know exactly how, and I know that with my encouragement, you watched the video from the last meeting where we discussed this at some length, so you know what our concerns and opinions are. So I guess you could just talk about that. I'm not sure whether we want to venture into discussing the barn on Church Street. But anyway, what are your thoughts?
Hi, everyone. Ellen Briggs from Protect Our Past. Thank you for having me. Protect Our Past makes an effort to meet with the owners of historic properties, and to persuade them to maintain them, restore them, not to destroy them. That's our overall policy for reaching out and educating the owners of what they have, and then offering up opportunities or different methods which they can hopefully save it, restore it, and be happy with it. As to the Carter barn, there are some challenges as the owners, it's indicated the owners are not interested in the barn. But I have been talking to a couple people, and I'm willing to go a little further and try to connect with at least one of the Carter family members and have discussions of what the options might be that might interest them to saving it, restoring it, or finding another usage for it, which may involve a grant. I'm not sure. I haven't talked with them.
Okay, well, let me interrupt you for a second, because I drove by the barn today. It's difficult for me to drive by that barn. And I am very concerned that any effort going forward to preserve that barn or convince the family that it's in its collective best interest to preserve that barn is now moot, because the gable ends are caving in. Its deterioration is, I would say, imminent. I don't know how to define imminent, but once the gable ends start buckling, I'm not a preservation engineer, but I am extremely pessimistic about the prospects for saving that barn. So I think it's a cautionary tale for all of us, and something to think about for the future to try to save the next imperiled barn or house.
Yeah, Ellen, I have to say, Bob showed me a picture just tonight that he took today. I don't know if Fred saw it.
I sent it to him. I don't know if he's looked at it yet.
No one, I think, was more. It looks, the gable ends are folding in towards the center of the barn. Now, if it collapsed, if those gable ends collapsed tonight, I wouldn't be surprised. It's very, very sad to say, but when Bob showed me the picture, my heart fell a little bit. It's very, I don't think at this point, sadly, I think its collapse is probably imminent. You can see the outer wall is separating, and the gables have now essentially started to fold. You should drive by it. It's very, very sad.
What about an effort to recover all of the pieces to that barn and reconstruct it somewhere else? Is it worth that? Is it worthy? Is that a thought?
Oh, it's certainly worthy. I don't know if it's
I
something
don't know
that,
who has the authority to repurpose it, though.
well,
The family would.
I'm not sure it's relevant for this body.
I do think that it should be documented. Someone should go out and photograph it all around. But I think that sadly, I think all of us would be if we could save it. But I think that it is probably, sadly, at this
You're right,
point,
that might be the
about
best
to
option.
collapse.
What's that?
To rebuild it somewhere with all of the pieces.
Well, Ellen, as you know, my husband, Fred, believes that they have someone already lined up to buy all the parts and pieces.
Yeah.
So,
The sad part is, in preservation, to move it, pick it up, move it in that way, or take pieces of it, the sad part is the resource is gone forever. It becomes something different. And I think that I don't know. I'm really upset about it after you showed me that photograph, because it's really sign of gone.
So maybe we ought to move off of the subject of the barn because it's too depressing, and maybe just sort of talk briefly about how you foresee opportunities for cooperation between
Yeah.
POP and Old Kings Highway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here getting sadder by the minute. It's a real loss, but
It is.
it is what it is. So I think we need to learn from this. I remember hearing that Rick talked about an opportunity to have a demo by neglect with teeth that have repercussions.
Yeah.
Rather than let it stand here. This is something that you could take up with, and I don't know the process, but I think it's something, and I'm asking now, if you, Rick, or somebody wants to write up what needs to be presented to all the historical commissions, and I'd be happy to do it and say, here is a way that we can stop this from happening. Please consider adopting it in your town. This is an historic preservation regulation option. And when there are consequences, people tend to listen more. As to what more we can do in the future, is that whenever we are told that a building is in jeopardy, and we just had a big win last week, Fred was part of it, we spent a lot of time evaluating a house that was not deemed historic, and in fact it was. And we educated and educated and educated all kinds of groups and people that were involved. And the end result is they were not given the opportunity to even to demolish it, and they were not given the opportunity to build the house that they wanted to replace it. So it worked. And I'm just emphasizing the fact that when we can reach the owner and the architect and the lawyer and the builder and give them the facts and offer opportunities for a different design that would incorporate the historic value of that structure, it makes a difference. So we would love to work with you on any property that is in jeopardy to see how we can be effective in convincing the owner that it's worthy of saving.
May I, through the chair, there is legislation that's going forward right now regarding the solar issues and how to be cooperating with state laws regarding renewable energy and preserve our historic properties. And I'm wondering if the demolition by neglect should it could be something that goes forward at the same time at the state level.
I think you'd find that usually it's a town ordinance that people adopt, and Ellen, I think that this, again, don't drive by it if you don't want to be unhappy.
No, I'm not going to.
This should be the poster child for this, maybe in its
Yes.
death. We will get a demolition by neglect ordinance. But I spoke quite passionately about it last time. I think we should probably be checking with the lawyer for Old Kings Highway, but I think, I don't know how it goes through the town, but I do think it needs to be something that is actively pursued, and I'm happy to help on our end here, but and put into place as quickly as can be. I know there's lots of talk about not having staff to enforce ordinances, et cetera, but many of these ordinances actually empower the town to make repairs, to do things, and put liens on property. So if you decide, if you don't take action within a certain amount of time, the town can, and at least stabilize the situation and put a lien on your property that must be paid back. So I think there are ways, as I spoke last time, the city of Newport, Rhode Island did this some time ago with really two particular pieces of property in mind owned by the same person, who would not do anything about this house despite many attempts to try to make them act until they passed this ordinance, at which point they started to get fined every day, and they sold the houses, and now they're restored. So I think it's worth doing, and so I'm on board to help in any way I can.
Yeah, my own feeling is you can sense that we are sympathetic with your mission. Our mission is a little different, and my own belief is that it would be great if POP collectively were to take the lead on this, and we assume a more neutral position. We're interested, we're listening, we want to cooperate, but we're not going to initiate a lot of, it's more within your purview, I think, to be activists in this regard.
You're right.
Do you think, with us being charged with protecting the historic resources of our town, why wouldn't it be in our purview to try to take action that would protect and preserve it?
Yeah, well, I think our mission is a little, with all due respect, is a little bit more broadly defined as to preserving the character of the historic district. It's a little different. It's a little less specific than what you just stated, in my view.
Is that because you're not a commission, but you're a committee? I don't quite understand the difference, because I know that other commissions do instigate or bring forth and pass and bring before the town to vote on regulation options.
Can you bring one forward to us, an example of that?
Yeah, how do you initiate this? How do you initiate a bylaw? What has to be done?
Well, I haven't done it, but
present it to the selectmen.
I think we can certainly, all of us independently, act as concerned citizens and proceed as private citizens. But as a body, I feel that we really should be careful not to be too assertive, move more cautiously, and there's a diplomacy aspect to this too. I would like to see, and I expressed this at the last meeting, I would like to see greater cooperation and understanding between the Old Kings Highway Committee and the Building Department, and the building engineer, so that they understand what our interests are, and to try to find common ground with them, and mutual respect, so that when the building engineer declares a property to be non-viable, that we are consulted for our opinion on that issue, because the building engineers typically do not,
Right, think in those terms, yeah.
they do not move with any enthusiasm toward preservation if they see a problem with danger. And I understand that, and so I think we have not done a very good job of educating the public generally, and I don't think we've done a particularly good job in the past of trying to engender cooperation between the town and this body and find common purpose and interests. So I'm all for that, but I'm just
Well, but if I may,
leery of being too aggressive too soon.
I think there's a concern that we might be characterized as over the top.
our own charge states, the law, within the first few lines, states, through the promotion of the educational, cultural, economic, aesthetic, and literary significance, through the preservation and protection of buildings, setting, and places within the boundaries of the district. It is our charge. This sounds almost to me like somebody ought to do something about that. I think it's our charge. And I think we do it with diplomacy, and I think we do it by acting out, but I think it is our place in our charge as a body to, within this town, take measures to protect the historic resources of this town. Rather than waiting for an applicant to come before us, we can be proactive, and we can do things that will help protect architectural and preservation.
Obviously, we're not going to resolve this tonight, and
Do you not agree with what I just read?
I'm pondering what you just said.
Richard,
I'm considering it.
what's the status in Barnstable, for instance? Is there any?
Honestly, I'm not familiar with it. I'm not.
Of course, they're part of the
my job as an
commission.
architect there is,
Yeah.
ironically, I wouldn't be involved in that as an employee of the town. But I do think that who is better placed than people who are elected and appointed on this body to protect the character and the resources within this town? So, Ellen,
May I say something quickly?
Sure, please.
Yeah, thank you. I know that I've watched the Chatham Historical Commission initiate, work hard, put together, they work behind the scenes with all the parties that are involved in creating a bylaw that the town then voted on. I don't know where else bylaws for historic preservation would come from other than the commissions. Now, you're a committee, so maybe it's a little different. I'm just wondering. But I also want to speak to the idea of, wouldn't it have been wonderful if we could have taken all the pieces of that barn and put it somewhere else? I mean, that is at times a possibility. Unfortunately, in this case, I don't think that was an option. I think they just wanted it to fall down. I don't know what their plans are, but I do think that's an option that could be put on the table in certain situations. So I appreciate you suggesting that.
Ellen, do you, in terms of reaching out to folks, does Protect Our Past, do you monitor agendas for the various towns such that you see an application for neglect? I know your letter to us, your gracious letter stated, please let us know. Is it something that you typically just survey what's coming up so that you know? Other than being notified, do things slip under the radar for you? How does that work?
Oh, I would love if we had the manpower for us to monitor every single commission. I find a lot of my time is spent on Zoom for different commission meetings, but it's only because someone has notified us. And maybe one day that will be possible. But I think in the meantime, one of ours, as you mentioned, one of the opportunities that we have before us is to look at the bylaws that are available and work with commissions to adopt them. I think the one that you mentioned, and I always can hear the phrase, that has teeth. Like, we shouldn't be afraid of teeth, because eventually once it's lost, it's gone forever. So we don't have teeth. I mean, that barn is gone, and we all are. Somehow that has affected us all deeply. Wonder why that is. But it's, as you're saying, it's gone. And so I just want to look carefully at the ways that we can prevent that from happening and look at each situation, talk with the owners. We never could get to these owners, unfortunately, and that we'll lose some, but let's try and save more.
I don't think anyone sitting on this side of the table would disagree with what you just said, Ellen. But as I also said, this isn't something we're going to be able to resolve tonight.
Right.
So, with your permission, I will excuse you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
participation, and it will not be the last time that this subject is broached. And
Yes.
I'm, in spite of the disappointment of the barn on Church Street, I'm by nature an optimist. So I'm hopeful that we can improve, strengthen, and move forward.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I appreciate all the work you're doing. It is not easy, but we need you. So thank you.
Ellen.
Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you very much.
Thanks, Ellen.
Bye.
All right, so I have one other thing to mention tonight. I am going to be representing our committee for an appeal tomorrow, a Sandwich Committee appeal. It's a very interesting appeal. The town of Sandwich denied an application to replace windows on a house built in 1930, and currently the windows have no grills. The town has found historic evidence that originally the windows were 2/2. So the application was to replace the windows with like for like, no grills. And ordinarily that would be a knee-jerk reflex, like for like. It's almost a certificate of exemption request. But it's interesting that from a historic perspective, there is an opportunity for the applicant to make the house appear more original than it currently does. So I don't know how this, I will report at the next meeting on how this turns out, but it's a very interesting appeal.
So the committee wanted them to have 2/2 replacements.
Yes. So it's going to...
Someone at some point in time, maybe before the HDC, replaced them with 1/1s.
Right, exactly. Anyway, that's all I have.
Please report on that next time. I want to hear about it.
It's an interesting appeal. All right, so I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, my Valentines.
Aye.
Thank you, Richard.